Hello, thank you, and thank you for coming after party yesterday, before the second day. And thank you for the introduction. Yes, I will be talking about customers, about how you can use data from your clients, from your users, to make better products. I've been doing it for the past 15 years so far, so it is not a surprise that I'm going to talk about it, because voice of customers matters. It's not working. My voice of customer is telling you that it's not working. Okay. So, as you can see here, it does matter because it gives us feedback. And as you can see here, in these examples, people are not afraid to voice their concerns. They will use words like a big pile of shit, or a disaster, a bureaucratic nightmare. They will tell you what's wrong. All these opinions come from App Store for one of the quite popular Polish app. Some of you may have used this app. Any guesses what it is about? Anyone? Okay, it's one of the worst reviewed Polish app on App Store, and it comes from Apple. Now you know. So it is a mobile app for buying travel vignettes in order to go on highways, on Polish highways. And people absolutely hate it. And they hate it so much that it reached Polish media all around the country. Pretty much every single newspaper wrote about how bad the app was and how people hated it. All these titles are in Polish, but for some of you, let me translate just one of them, my favorite one. I wanted to use Ethel. I lost dignity, data, time, money, and I haven't even left the house. So this is just one vivid example of how you can get information from your clients before they blow up in your face. The great thing about voice of customers is that data is already there waiting for you. This methodology is about collecting and analyzing user feedback about your product, about your brand, about your customer experience, services, anything related to your company. And what's great about it is that it's easy to obtain. There are many tools you could use. There are many sources that you could look into. There are also, there's internet where people just write things down and you can look into it. Furthermore, it's also automatic. A lot of tools gather, collect the feedback automatically. You can also use automatic analysis. So, you can check, for example, what is the sentiment of those feedback. Is it more positive or negative? You can count occurrences of words. You can have numbers telling you whether people like or dislike your product. And what's also great about Voice of Customer is that it's collected continuously. So throughout time, you can look for trends. You can check whether the changes that you've made in the product somehow affected the reviews, whether it was better or for worse. And you can also look at it historically to see changes. So these are all great strengths, and you definitely should use Voice of Customers. However, let me just get back. Because of those strengths, many companies use Voice of Customers, especially the companies that feel like they should be customer-centered. They feel like, this is the easiest way, right? It seems very easy. Data is there, you just collect it, you have knowledge. And I would like to stress out the word seem. We'll get back to it. But before we do, let's talk about how you can do it. This is a matrix for Voice of Customer that I created to show you different ways of data you can collect. And the first dimension that I want to show you here is whether the feedback was initiated by you, the company, the client, or by users, by our clients themselves. Another dimension is about whether it is descriptive, so it gives you information, it's informative, it answers your questions, it tells you about users, their context of use, their needs. Or is it more about your product? It's evaluative. It tells you whether they like your product or not. And when you take those two dimensions, this is what you can get. You have methods that talk about what clients write to us, what we ask clients, what clients write about us, and how clients evaluate us. So let me go through each and single one of them shortly, with examples of tools you could use for that. Clients write to us. It's something that is initiated by your customers. They are the ones who get in contact with your company, usually because they have some issue, some problem. Sometimes they will write you how wonderful your product is. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that often. Usually they complain. How can you get this information? Through email, through chatbot. It might be a call on a help desk, helpline. So most tools that gather this kind of information are a customer services tool. One that I would like to mention is Polish Live Chat. So hands up for Polish tools. Another one, we ask clients. So it is us who initiate the contact. It is us asking questions. We have some kind of questions, and we're looking for answers. Usually it's done by service, right? I mean, companies love service. However, you can also just ask them directly in an interview or focus group. And once again, tools that you could use for that are basically any survey tools, starting from Google Forms to SurveyMonkey, Hotjar, or Qualeroo. Third category, clients write about us. It is once again initiated by people. It is them who want to express what they like, what they dislike, but they don't necessarily think of us. They just want to express it to their friends, their family, or just the world. So it's about reviews, definitely. And the internet is full of reviews, right? We have Google Maps, we have Facebook reviews, we have Product Hunt, etc. But also any social media entries, what people tell about, what people write about our product. And once again, a Polish tool you could use for that, Brand24. And the last category is again about our product, but it's usually initiated by a company because they are the ones who want to learn how much people enjoy our product. And usually it takes a form of some quantitative measure like NPS, CSAT, CS. Sometimes it's a short feedback form. So we have those 4 different categories. As you can see, each and single one of them has numerous tools, numerous ways many ways you can use. But the problem is that all of these methods are about what people say. And the problem with that is that what people say is not exactly the same as what they do. And from our perspective, people creating product, it is far more important to understand why people behave the way they behave and how do they behave, not only what they think they do. And this is why we should focus more on what customers do. Let me give you an example. If you're a gamer, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Steam. Steam is like this huge platform for gamers, for games, and you've got tons of reviews there. Even if you look for them just briefly, you will very easily find a review that says, not recommended. The game is not good at all. Like here, bad game from a bad company, right? But if you look closely, you will see this person played the game for over 200 hours. Another one, not recommended, played the game for over 2,000 hours. I mean, why? Why would you do that? Why would you play a game for 2,000 hours and say, I do not recommend it? It doesn't make any sense, right? If you only looked at the recommendation, at the opinion, you would say, that's a very lousy game. If you only looked at the numbers, you would say, that's an awesome game. So which one is true? But let's think about ourselves. When do we comment? In what situations you decide to leave a comment or a review online? Shout out some ideas. Okay, most of you will think of situations when you either loved the product or hated it so much that you wanted the whole world to know about it. Because when we have a moderate opinion, we don't really feel the need to express it. It's just, moderate. So we only want to express about our extreme emotions. And this is why, this is like, the third review that I automatically clicked on Google Maps. And as you can see here, we have a lot of 5s and a lot of 1s. And usually it looks like that. And most of us are somewhere in the middle. We say, yeah, it was okay, not so bad, not so good. So we already see a distortion here, right? We have reviews from mostly people who either loved our product or hated it, whether most of them truly felt so-so about it. And we cannot forget about negativity bias. We feel stronger emotions. We value more emotions that are about negative experiences. This is why review bombing happens, for example. People hate one single thing about a product, and even though the rest of the things about this product was pretty okay, they would focus on the negativity. And they want to know the whole world knows about this one single negative thing they hate about this product. Like here, in case of Captain Marvel, which was so-so film, but people wanted to express how they disliked some things about it. Okay, another question for you. When was the last time you answered a survey online? Okay, let me ask another question. How many of you, hands up, have answered a survey in the last 6 months? Okay. This is the situation when we have so many researchers. Researchers are usually people answering a survey because they feel, the pain of recruiting people for research. So this is actually one more distortion that I don't have in my slides, but it is an important one as well. However, not everyone is as likely to answer a survey. And let me show you data for that. This is real data. It's actually real, however, I cannot tell you for which product. It is a popular product, Polish one, on Polish market. They wanted to learn things about their users, so they created a survey. A survey was aimed at 600,000 people. This is how many people got an invitation to take part in a survey. How many of you do you think answered? How many of them decided to take part in a survey? Close, pretty close. Not as bad, but 1,500. 1,500 decided to click on a banner and start a survey. I mean, we already see a problem here, right? But that's not the end of it. Out of these 1,500 users, only 30 to 50% decided to finish the survey, to answer all the questions. Why there is a difference in the numbers? Because there were different versions of the survey, so some of them were better, some of them were worse. That's also not the end of the story. Out of these numbers, only around 20–30% of people decided to answer in an open-ended question, which was very important for the company. And it was something more than just okay or so-so. So we're talking about quality feedback. So to sum it up, from 600,000 users, only 165 quality feedback. That's not a lot, right? So we have this feeling that if we're doing a survey, it's a quantitative research, then we have this huge number of people participating. But we actually have just a small picture of our bigger picture, right? We don't have the full picture. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about, and actually for me, from my point of view, this is the most important one. People only tell you about things they are aware of. And as you can see here, they're not aware of their problems. They're not aware that things can be done differently, that things can be done more effectively. They've been doing things the same way over and over again. And if you expect them to tell you how we can make our product better, they won't, because they don't know. It's our job, right? And this is a very important limitation of declarative research. People only tell you about things they are aware of, they know, and they know how to express. And very often they don't. So, to sum it up, the most important shortcomings of declarative methods. First of all, people do different things than they say they do. When we gather this feedback, we focus on extreme opinions, positive or very negative. And it's actually more common for negative opinions. We also have problem with gathering feedback from all of our customers, and very often they are simply low quality. And the most important one for me, people will only tell you about things that they know, they understand, they are aware of, they know how to talk about it, and they are willing to talk about it with a stranger. That's not enough, guys, right? I have to quote a classic here. We have to go deeper. That's not enough. We have to go deeper. How do we do that? The first level of knowledge for declarative methods is knowledge that is explicit, so things that people are aware of. These are the things that people say, people think. This is when we use all those methods that I've been talking about. But if we want to go deeper, we have to reach for observational methods, things that talk about behaviors, what people do, how they use products. This is where all observational and behavioral research comes in handy, so things like observations, obviously, but also usability tests, product analytics, A/B tests, things that will tell us what people actually do, not what they think they do. But we can go even deeper. If we want to learn about what people know, feel, what they dream about, we need generative methods, methods that focus on knowledge that is tacit and latent, so things people are not exactly aware of, and they become aware of in the middle of this generative research process. Because in those methods, people do things. They have creative tasks, they build stuff, and in the process of creativity and building, they become aware of things. They realize things. They understand better the way of reasoning. They uncover their own motivations or just trigger new ideas. And this is something that becomes knowledge not only for the researchers, but also for the participants throughout the process. Seems vague, right? Especially for those of you who have never used generative methods. So let me tell you about a couple of examples. First one, a case study by Duolingo. You may know the app. So Duolingo have this app aimed at kids aged 3 to 8. It's an app that helps with literacy and helps kids to learn how to read and write. And they wanted to understand better what type of stories they can build for those kids, how they can engage them in this learning process, what is their sense of humor. And they had this 1-year-long study throughout which they had a lot of small missions for families, for children and their parents. One of these missions was, for example, telling a joke. A kid had to tell a joke. And this is how they learned what is funny for kids, how they understand jokes. They had to write their favorite character. And this is how they gained information, what kind of characters we could use in our software. They also had to read a story coming from the app, retell it, and also express their opinions, reflections. This is how they learned how kids, first of all, what are their cognitive abilities, what they understand, and also what is engaging for them, what is boring, and what is also stressful for them. Another case study, it's an older one, done by my company a while ago for teachers and students. It was done for a publishing house. They wanted to learn about possibilities of school platform. How can we build a school platform? And we ran a couple of co-design workshops when we asked people to build their ideal, perfect platform. And for me, one of the things that I wanted to share with you, because for me it was very surprising and striking, is how all of us adults were so wrong about kids. The kids were actually teenagers, and all of us thought, and when I say all, I mean not only the researchers, the designers, I also think about the teachers. We all thought that when teenagers build their perfect platform, it would be about animations, characters, making it personalized, having great visuals. What they wanted was alerts, calendars, metrics, statistics. I mean, everything you would imagine in a business app. This is what they wanted. So for me, it was, striking. Another example, it's a new one by Allegro, courtesy of Marta Lutostańska, who told me about it. They used cultural probes to learn more about Generation Z. So young adults, people aged 20 to 26. Even though Allegro is pretty much the same age, they're around 26 years, within their user base, there are not many people from Generation Z. And they learned that for Generation Z, they seem like, a product for their parents. So how can you change it? How can you make the software better for young people? In order to do so, they need to better understand those people. And for 7 days, 15 people answered very creative questions and tasks and missions that talked about their life, their motivations, their dreams, using stamps, using pencils, using Mad Libs forms, anything that was funny and engaging. One interesting fact, they were pretty sure that some of them would stop answering the questions, that they would, out of these 15 people, get maybe 10 full answers for all the tasks. On the contrary, all of them enjoyed it so much that they wanted to take part in this whole study. So compare it to the surveys, by the way. And one of the things that they learned is that young Generation Z, they don't differentiate offline from online world. For them, it is the same. It's just, the world. So the things they expect from an online app or a mobile app is exactly the same level they would expect from offline service. For example, personalization, which is very easy to do in a mobile app, much harder in an offline service. but they expect both. And the last product I wanted to tell you about, the last case that used generative studies, was made for hospice. Lilith Hasbeck created a series of different design provocations, different techniques that would help her to make a product for hospice. So this app, the software, was for planning the end of life. How do you talk about things that people don't want to talk about? Furthermore, they don't even want to think about. How do you talk about it, right? Nobody really wants to think about their own death and what it should look like, how you should prepare for your own death. It's not something that you would easily talk with a stranger. It gets easier when you have creative tools like cards, like quizzes, like games. And this is what she used to learn what are the barriers that make people not think about their own death and about their plan for the end of the life. And based on that, she created a solution. Hopefully, these case studies were an inspiration for you. I'm reaching the end of my story. Does it mean that you should not use voice of customers? I mean, of course not. It's data, right? You should definitely use data when you see it. However, you have to always remember there are limitations to voice of customers. There are things that you should treat with high and utmost caution because they are not the whole truth. They're just part of the truth. It's a great way to monitor or explore things about your product, your users, some trends, to look for new paths, new ideas, or to see whether you're going in the right direction. But you should always, definitely always, test it with other methods as well, either to validate it or to deepen your insights. Because voice of customers and declarative methods can only take you so far. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. It was great. Does anyone have a question to Iga?
Hi, Iga. Thank you very much for your presentation. You've mentioned that people request only things that they know, that they cannot imagine how things could work differently. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts if this may be different when you collaborate with people who are highly specialized? I mean, when you're working, for example, with IT clients, and you have a product specifically for them, so you know a very narrow range of people, and it seems to me that they very often know what they want. They very often suggest us how we could do things differently. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts in this kind of products? Thank you.
Okay. I don't think it's that different for specialized products. Of course, they have some ideas they want to share with you, but most of them are probably more about optimization. So, you know, things that irritate them that could be done differently, shorter or quicker. And this is what the kind of information you will get. So these are things that they are aware of, once again, right? They've been doing this, they know how to do it better, and they're just expressing it. But even specialists cannot imagine doing things differently other than they've been doing for so many years. Even maybe more importantly for them, because they've been doing it for years. And it is important to sometimes just, you know, take a step back and look at it holistically and figure out, okay, maybe there is a better way than they think there is. So I don't see a big difference here other than probably their answers, their suggestions are of higher quality, simply because they know the matter.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have a question to Iga?
I don't bite.
Yeah? Okay, we have.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question. How do you convince business to do this kind of studies? Because they seem a little bit out there. The numbers are small. If somebody is used to having big numbers, how do you convince them?
That's a tough one. It's not an easy thing to do, especially if you have this type of management that likes numbers, right? It's not a tool that gives you numbers. However, I would start, not every project requires it, and not every project is the best way to start with it. The best one would be to look for a project that is very important for the business. It's like, the whole company relies on it, whether you do it right. So high stakes. And secondly, things that nobody knows what to do. So yes, we have a problem we have to figure out, but no one really has an idea what to do. And this is when those types of techniques, and generally research, comes in handy because no one has the answers. Everyone is looking for the answers, and they are willing to put money and effort in doing it any way you need. So that would be my recommendation for you.
Okay, there we have a question.
Hi, this is Mateusz. So I wanted to ask about the survey. There were so little people that finished the survey with quality results. So my question is, can we rely on these numbers, that this is like a standard thing that so little people ended? Or maybe there were some issues with the questions in the survey?
That's a very good question, and I would have to agree with you. You should probably not rely on it. However, it is a standard. The data that I showed you is a very typical data you will get for any survey. I think it was even pretty good. Should you rely on it? Maybe not. Is it so much different? Because very often our management thinks if it's high quantity, many people participating, then this is quality data, right? And if we have some qualitative techniques with 15 users, this is low quality data. And basically, they're often the same. Okay, I think we're running out of time.
Does anyone have a question?
No? Oh, because
No?
I've seen some
I think
hands. So.
we have one more question from Slido,
Okay.
if I can ask, from Bart Andrzejewski. So the timing on gathering the feedback is important, but isn't this altering the result? This could deliver over positive feedback gathered from power users. How about entry-level users, early adopters? What's the best way to gather feedback from both types of users and sum up it properly?
Mm-hmm. So it's more about recruiting, right? If you recruit people that are not heavy users that are starting with the product, you will get information from them. So it's all about recruitment, basically. What are your questions? What are the things you want to learn? And then you decide who should you recruit. Simple as that.
Okay.
That was an easy one.